leave your trash cans out at night? Are you afraid of little critters getting into them? Today, you are the little critter going through the trash. Are you ready to be a trash panda?
Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Trash Panda is another pressure luck game. Man, this is one of the most crowded genres there are. So you're going to roll the dice, and there's certain tokens, there's 5 or 6 on the board that you can gain, and you're going to pull that token over depending on what you roll. If you get the same token twice on a 6-sided die, then you bust and you draw a card. Otherwise, you can kind of stop wherever you want and take those actions you have. And one of them is going to be wild, where you can choose whatever you want to do. It's going to be very, very helpful as the game goes on. You can choose a token that wasn't chosen. So it kind of keeps you from going through all 6 of them. Otherwise, Trash Panda was a surprise for our family. We had a really good time. There could be, because of the pressure luck, huge swings in what you get, but being able to draw that card really keeps things going, and you're going to be set collecting as you go through. Played this with a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old and my wife and myself, and it went over very well. I think you can play this with light gamers, pretty much anybody. Very easy to understand, very quick. And this was actually a hit for our family. We like this one pretty much. Do I like it better than other pressure luck games? Yeah, I think for a family I do. I think it works for that scenario a little bit better. You want something a little lighter as opposed to ink and gold, which is the standard to me. Ink and gold's the standard. This one lives up to the hype. I like it quite a bit. It was a keeper for us. So here's Trash Pandas, the raccoon card game. It's a very small, very portable box from Gamewright. Now, it doesn't have one of those things that helps you open it, so I always just gotta shake her open and try to force her out. I hate these boxes so much. Let's see if we can get it. Got it. So open it up. First thing you're gonna notice is some advertisement for games. I always like these. It comes with a little 20% off coupon, which I never use. But, years from now, I'll look back and see all the little games that we can get for the little guys. I like that quite a bit. Rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. We're going to get one of these postcards from Gamewright. I should fill one of these out. I wonder what it does. I like going back and looking at old magazines and seeing these. You're going to get these one die that's going to have different pieces on them. I like it quite a bit. It's a nice die, actually. You get these tokens here, and they're printed. They're double-sided. These are nice from Gamewright Games. Ooh, guys. You guys are jumping up quite a bit. And then you're going to get a deck of cards. You're going to get just one player. I guess you just pass it around. It's not that the game is hard. And a bunch of cards. They always put Gamewright on the back of their cards, which I think is just funny. But the artwork from the game, they're going to have a funny pictures that's kind of played for humorous purposes. And you're going to have the victory points over here and the power at the bottom. Cards feel really well. These are really nice cards. I like the way these cards feel quite a bit. Shuffle up really nicely. Great. But for the most part, going to die some tokens, which are great. And the cards, Gamewright's starting to step things up a little bit here. So for the rule book, it's one of those map things that you kind of pull out. What's nice about this one is this is all the rules. The backside just tells you what the cards do in the game. So this is all the rules, and this is really what you need to know. This is what all the icons on the different dice do. Rule book probably should take you 5-10 minutes, depending on how slow of a reader you are. And a little bit of pictures here and stuff, but for the most part, it's just a blob of words. So each player is going to start out with a number of these cards depending on where they are in player order. And the cards are going to be pretty easy to use. You're going to have cards that don't have any victory points on them and just have powers on them. And each card's going to have a power at the bottom, and it will have victory points on here. At the end of the game, whoever has the most going to get 6 points. Second most gets 2 and 1. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. And there's fish. And so there's a bunch of set collection. There's nanners. Shiny. So a bunch of different set collection that you can have during the game, and you have like Doggo, and there's a kitten card, and they all do a little bit much. But there's only like 8 different cards in the deck. So what you're going to do on a turn is you're going to roll the die. Whatever it comes up on, you're going to take that token and put it over here by you. Then you could stop and use this action, or you can press your luck and keep going. And because I rolled the same thing, I've busted. So I will just take the top card of the deck, add it to my hand, and my turn would be over. That's kind of how that works. Now, if I continue to press my luck and things come up, I can get multiple of these tokens, and then I could stop, and then I would just do whatever is on my tokens. So the game is going to end when somebody draws the last card of the deck. Then that player would take their turn, and you would add up the points. I'll go through that. But each of these sides of this is going to do something different for you. So let me show you what they do. The recycling one, if you have this, you can take any other token and do it hasn't been selected, and you would take it and do that action. This one right here, the garbage can, allows you to draw 2 cards off the top of the deck and add them to your hand. This one allows you to take either 1 card from the top of the deck, or you can stash. This one allows you to stash 2. Then you would just take 2 cards from your hand, the victory point ones preferably, put these face down into your scoring pile, and they'll score at the end of the game. This card allows you to steal a card from somebody else's hand, which can be blocked by a card like the kitten if you happen to have this. If the player tries to steal from you, steal from them instead. The dog one will prevent stealing also. And then you have this card with this, allows you to take the top deck of the card. It's a blammo! And then you put this into your hand, and every other player who has a blammo in their card can stash it away. For most purposes, once you stash cards away, they're going to score victory points. There is a card in the deck that can take cards out of somebody's stash pile. Then at the end, you just say, okay, who had the most fish? Who had the most shiny? So if I had 2 fish, a yum yum, and a shiny, whoever has the most is going to get that many points, and so on. So it's just a set collection at the end. That's how you play Trash Pandas. Very, very easy to play. So to play Trash Pandas is very easy. The first player will get 3 cards off the top of the deck. The next player will get 4 cards off the top of the deck. The third player will take 5 cards off the top of the deck as their starting hand, and so on. In order to play the game, you're going to roll the die, and you're kind of pressing your luck. So if you roll a symbol, you take that token, and it's now yours to utilize. I could stop, or I could press my luck and roll the die again. In this case, I got another token. If I were to stop here, I could utilize both these tokens, do what they say on it, and get it back, and then it'll be the next player's turn. If I were to already have a token, and I roll the same symbol again, I would bust, and at that point, I would only draw the top card of the card. I wouldn't get to utilize any of the tokens, and the next player would go. This would continue with players taking turns until the person draws the last card from the deck. At that point, they would take their turn, and players would add up their scores. And when you take everything that's in your stash pile, which I'll get into in a second, and you would say, so you'd get your nanners, for example, whoever had the most nanners. So let's say I had 3 and you only had 2. I would score the 7 victory points, and you would score second place, which in this case is 0. Same thing would happen with the other things. Let me show you a couple of these. So in this case, you have the fish. If I had the most fish at the end of the game, I would score 5 victory points. Whoever has second has 3, and whoever has the third most would get 1. If you ever tie, then you get 1 less. So if 2 of us tied for second, we both would get 2 victory points. That's how that would work, one less. So each of these will do something different. The recycling one is very easy. I can take any token that I didn't get to draw that turn, and now I can take that action. So it works almost like a wild, but if I had these 2 tokens for the turn where I stopped pressing my luck, I couldn't choose this one. I'd have to choose something that's still available. The garbage cans that can be found on these 2 allow me to draw a card from the top of the deck. So in this case, I could draw 2, and this one will allow me to either stash a card or draw a card. I could take that choice. And this one allows me to stash 2 cards, and this one allows me to stash 1. So what stashing means is I simply take cards from my hand, and I can put them in my victory point pile. So let's say I had a couple of these nanner cards. They don't have to match at all. And I had this right here, allowed me to stash 2 cards. I take these, I place them face down, and I put them in my scoring pile. At the end of the game, everybody will go through their stash. That's how they'll score points. Any cards in your hand do not score at the end of the game, just the cards in your stash. That's kind of how stashing works. This one allows me to steal a card from another player. Now, there are a couple cards in the deck that will, if you try to steal, you just take a random card. There is a card like the Doggo card. It says block a steal attempt, then draw 2 cards. So if somebody tried to steal from me, I could discard this card, blocking the steal, and then draw 2 additional cards. In addition, there's a kitten card, which a player tries to steal from you. I can discard this card and block their stealing. I can steal from them instead, so you can steal that. Now, the mask card allows you to take the top card of the deck. You show it to everybody. In this case, it's a blammo. I get to put this blammo into my hand. But every other player, if they have a blammo in their hand, they can throw that in their stash pile. And they'll want to, because a blammo gives you 1 point for each blammo that you're able to stash away. Or, alternatively, if I didn't want to do that, I could use this to reroll my die. So let's say I had this here, and I roll another trash can. Well, normally I would bust. If I were to discard this blammo, I could get a free reroll of my die, and then I would not bust. That's kind of what that's going to do. If you look down here at the bottom of the cards, a lot of these cards are going to give you alternate things to do. So fiche could be used as a scoring mechanism, or take a card from the discard pile. I could discard this and take maybe something I'm looking for more from the discard pile. Nanner says ignore your last roll and choose to stop. So you can continue to roll the dice trying to get more actions, but the nanners would let you, if you rolled a double, like here, I would usually bust. I can give this up. Okay, I'm not going to bust, but I will have to stop rolling at this point. So that's kind of an option. So a lot of the cards will give you options. Once again, when the last card is pulled from the deck, that player will finish their turn. You take any cards in your stash pile. You see who has the most in the set collections. You score victory points. Most victory points is your winner. Who should buy this game? This is a really good family game. So if you have a family and you want a little pressure luck game, very easy to understand what set collection, this could don't 100% be that. So I'm going to highly recommend this for families that want a quick pressure luck card game with some dice, okay? And then past that, I think lighter gamers, filler gamers are going to want this. You're probably not going to center a gaming night around this, but definitely you could, full runs where people are showing up. Lighter gamers are going to enjoy this. People who are wanting to have a conversation over the game with some laughs when you bust, etc. And it's kind of nice because when you bust, you don't lose anything. Well, you don't lose everything. You do get that gaining a card kind of aspect. So you get one random card, and that kind of saves it from being like a everything or nothing kind of game. And it makes it a little bit easier to swallow for a lot of people. So what I highly recommend for you at least to try out, it's going to be a keeper.